Awesome. All right. Well, I am Dr. Blanco, and I am so glad that you guys are all here today with me at this open house. I'm going to share a little bit of our Child Welfare and Attendance Authorization Program, which I'm super proud of. So this is the agenda. It's going to be brief, but I definitely want to make sure that I leave time for some questions towards the end. So a little bit about myself. I am an educational psychologist by training, but I am a counselor and professor by choice. I am also the CWA program director, and this is its first year that it's ever had a director, so I'm very excited about that. And I am full-time faculty teaching the CWA courses, been doing that for a couple of years now. In terms of our staff, we have wonderful staff that really are the foundation of our CWA program. We have Professor Gabrielle. She is a fieldwork liaison. She doesn't really meet our students until a little bit later in their programs, typically when they're culminating and they're near the end with their fieldwork classes. We have Dr. Francis, and I believe Dr. Francis is here, but she might still...
Hello.
Oh, you are here. Okay. I
I'm
wasn't...
here. I'm barely here. I'm in two open houses right now. But I did want to say hello and introduce myself. I
Thank you.
am Dr. Francis. I'm the Assistant Director of all counseling programs. And I have had the pleasure of working with Dr. Blanco and kind of seeing students through this awesome credential, an amazing opportunity. I've seen it from the start to where it is now, and we have just increased its quality, and it's been an amazing road. I'm looking forward to hearing from some of you, hopefully, but it's good to see you all.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis, as she reiterated, is the assistant director of all our counseling programs, and she has been a wonderful steward of the CWA program and has passed it on to me. So I can't think of a better person to be an assistant director of our counseling programs. We
Thank
also
you.
have Dr. Mike. He is the Director of Student Success, and for the time being, he's also the Graduate Program Advisor. He is a Graduate Program Advisor for our department. He's doing two jobs right now because we are currently looking for his replacement in terms of graduate advising. So for the time being, he will be the point of contact for all things advisement. And we also have a new Senior Administrative Coordinator. That's why I don't have their picture there. Today is their first day. So we're going to go easy on this new person. And once we have the person's information and the person's good to go, everybody else will also have this person's information. So in terms of attendance, why attendance? I think we all know that attendance is super important with respect to schooling. All of the research shares that the longer that you're in school, the better it is for your outcomes, whether it be financially, whether it be social, emotionally, whether it be for your college and career. So as we know, pre-pandemic rates of absenteeism and truancy in the state of California were about 12%. During the pandemic, it was upwards of about 30%. So it nearly tripled. Recently, they published some new statistics about attendance, and it's in like, I think 24% around that. And while it is an improvement from the 30%, it's still double the pre-pandemic rates. So this is still an area of need for everybody here in California. We all went back to work. We all went back to school in person. Unfortunately, not a lot of students did from K through 12. So as we all know, it's incredibly important to address this. And the CWA credential is going to help you address this. It's going to help you increase attendance and decrease absenteeism and truancy. In terms of the coursework, we have 3 courses, otherwise known as 9 units. So they're 3 units each, and they are the courses for CWA. So we have the intro course, which talks about the foundations, the factors that affect child welfare and attendance. We have the next course, which is 5304. And really in that course, we're looking at the systems and the procedures, for school systems at large in terms of increasing school-wide or district-wide attendance and decreasing absenteeism and truancy. And then it culminates in your fieldwork course. and we're going to talk a little bit more about field work. So a lot of people have questions about field work. It seems to be an area of concern, especially for community members. So when we talk about field work, the CWA has a requirement of 150 hours. 120 of those hours are within the school-based setting, in the educational setting. 30 of those hours are outside the educational setting. So outside the school-based setting, they're considered off-site hours. So people always want to know, what does that mean? So if you're collaborating with a social welfare agency, that would be considered an offsite hour. If you are attending a professional development conference or workshop, that would be considered offsite hours. You know, if you're volunteering even at a food bank or at a food pantry, again, that would be considered offsite hours. So we're really kind of emphasizing, you know, community partnerships, working with your community, because as we know, increasing attendance cannot be done in isolation. And that's why that's required as part of this credential. In terms of the schedule, you know, guys, we get really cozy. We are a family. We are together all day on Saturdays. So we start with the first class at 9 a.m. and then we have a quick break and eat lunch together. And then we have our second class at noon. And then we end with our last class at 3. And then we're done for the day at 4:30. So that's essentially when our classes take place, back to back to back on Saturdays. In terms of the program modality, it is fully online. This is the first semester that this has gone fully online. Previously, it was hybrid. And I'm very proud to say that we were able to move the modality fully online in consideration of the students. Our students are very busy. You know, they have other things going on in their lives. They have families, they have jobs, they're trying to obtain their field work hours. So we're very cognizant of that. And that's why we hold classes on Saturdays. And that's why we've gone fully online. What does that look like? Well, that's 2 Saturdays a month where you are online having synchronous Zoom classes. The remaining Saturdays are asynchronous, otherwise known as offline. So you will not be logging on during those asynchronous classes. As everybody knows, attendance is very important, right? So of course, attendance for the synchronous Zoom classes are required. In addition to that, asynchronous classes, while offline, we still require some sort of submission or some sort of task related to class. So you may be asked to submit a discussion post. You may be asked to read journal articles or watch videos. You know, there's still something that's required as part of LMU's fully online programming. We obviously want to make sure that you are meeting all the requirements for these classes, which is why I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that. In terms of program advisement, as I said earlier, congratulations to Dr. Mike. He's the Director of Student Success. He's also currently providing advisement to our students until his replacement is known. So I know they're actively seeking a replacement. And Dr. Mike is the point of contact for all things with respect to program advisement. As much as Dr. Francis and I would love to know everything, we don't. So when it comes to deadlines for withdrawal, registration, when to register, you know, what to register for, Dr. Mike is your point of contact, and he's excellent and very responsive. So one of the things that I want you all to consider with respect to LMU's CWA program, we're the only approved standalone program to provide the CWA add-on authorization. Previously, there were other schools near us, or and I could say geographically close to us. Because the CCTC, the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, had updated the expectations for the CWA credential, many schools are no longer approved to provide the CWA add-on credential. And a couple of them that are within close proximity to us have decided that they are no longer going to accept community members. So that's one of the reasons why we also decided to go fully online, so we can give people access to be able to have this credential. Another consideration is that there is the Golden State Teacher Grant, which can award credential seeking, non-degree seeking students, awards to obtain this credential. And then lastly, because we have 3 courses, otherwise known as 9 units, this will all be done in 1 semester for community members. So a community member is somebody who already has a graduate degree and is adding on this credential. A current LMU student is somebody who's currently enrolled in LMU's graduate counseling programs who is adding this credential. And if you are a current LMU student, then you would have the option to do this in 1 or 2 semesters. So when you're in this program, you're going to get a diverse set of perspectives, because you're going to have current graduate students who have not yet started their careers, and you might have people who've just started their careers adding on this credential, or you might have people who've been in their careers for several years and want to add this credential, or making a career shift. So it's going to be pretty unique in terms of the perspectives that are offered when you're in the CWA credential program. Wow, look at that. Didn't even skip a beat. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop it for some questions if anybody has any. Any questions, any burning questions for anybody?
When is your program offered?
Program is offered every fall and every spring. We are a rolling admission program. So that's typically when we provide the CWA coursework. Good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. So is this course only offered to students that are currently counselors?
Very good question. So if you are a community member, meaning that you have your graduate degree and you have your PPS in school counseling, you can apply to this program. You can also apply to this program if you have your PPS in school psychology or school social work as a community member.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another question. What's the cost of the units?
Oh, unfortunately, at the top of my head, I don't have
Okay.
that, but we can put it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll help with that.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I have a question. For example, you mentioned the Golden State Teacher Grant.
Mhm.
Is this something you have to apply?
Yes.
Is there a deadline?
Yeah, you have to apply to the Golden State Teacher Grant, and I think that we can put that link in the chat as well. Dr. Francis, would you be able to do that?
Of course, yes.
Thank you so much. Yes, we have quite a few students that apply for this and are approved for this when they are taking the CWA courses. Did I answer your question?
Yes. And the deadline, is there a deadline so I can?
I'm not aware of the deadline, but I'm sure there is a deadline. And I think once the link is shared in the chat, oh, there you go, June 15 for fall.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. What else you guys got?
Okay, let's see. In terms of the 120 hours of fieldwork site, do we have to go out and look for those, or are those already kind of like provided by the school about any availabilities of schools that you guys have a list of schools that need fieldwork?
So absolutely wonderful question. If you are currently enrolled and you have a PPS, so if you're currently enrolled in a school setting, that could be where you can obtain your CWA hours. If you don't have a site, we do have information that is provided by our graduate program advisor, Dr. C for now, until we have Dr. C's replacement. And they give you a few point of contacts where you can contact them directly. These are schools and school sites that we have MOUs with, and you can seek to obtain your CWA hours there.
Okay, great. K through 12, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Anybody have any questions about the CWA offsite hours?
I have a question. So you have people from all over the state, I'm guessing, do this now since it's online?
Not quite yet. Mostly everybody's in Southern California, but we have students who are not in this local area.
Okay. So you have some Bay Area students possibly?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
I would love to. I would love to have somebody from the Bay Area.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Yes, I have a question. After submitting an application, what's the turnaround time for the decision?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lavina, you were cutting in and out. All I heard was submitting an application. Would you be able to write your question in the chat? Are you in a space where you can write your question in the chat? It was cutting in and out, unfortunately. I do see a question here that says, once enrolled, would be able to receive a letter saying that we are enrolled in the CWA program. If you are enrolled, yes, you would be able to contact Dr. Mike and he will let you know how you could obtain some sort of documentation or a letter that you are enrolled in the CWA program. We have quite a few students that need that information for whatever current positions that they are applying for or positions that they are hired for, particularly as, a PSA counselor or CWA counselor.
I have some clarification, if you don't mind.
Of course, go for it.
So if it's fully online, that means we're not meeting on Saturdays or we're meeting some Saturdays?
So we are fully online, and what that means is every time we meet on Saturdays, that it's on synchronous Zoom.
Got it. Okay.
We are meeting on Saturdays via Zoom, but we're only meeting 2 Saturdays a month via Zoom, and the other Saturdays we are asynchronous or offline.
Okay, thank you.
And just so you guys know, if you apply to this program, you go through the interview process and you are admitted into this program, you will be provided what we call the calendar, the shared calendar for our classes. So up front, you'll know which days you will be in class via Zoom and which days you will not be in class or asynchronous, okay? Once application is submitted, how long will we wait to hear a decision? Awesome question. So once you submit an application and the application is complete, Dr. Francis and I will schedule an interview with you. Once we begin our interviews and we complete the interview process and we decide that you are a candidate for admission, you actually will know of that pretty quick. We have a tight turnaround because, as I said before, we're a rolling admission program, and to wait for longer periods of time before we conduct interviews and admit people can make things a little bit messy for our scheduling. So we try as best as possible to let candidates know within 1 to 2 days after we've conducted the interviews.
Also, just to add, and Ms. Hugo, you could speak to this a bit more. When applications are in, there are certain times where we offer interview dates. Ms. Hugo, can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, so once an application's complete, then I send it to Dr. Francis and they schedule the interview. So there's going to be certain times, obviously, if it's right before the beginning of the semester, we may not have time. But it's usually been within a few weeks of when I move the department forward, move the application forward. So, and then like Dr. Blanco said within a couple days of the interview, you'll get an email from graduate admissions with an admission decision.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
These are great
I have a
questions.
question
Yeah, really
about
good
the
questions.
application process.
Go
Would
for it.
it look differently for someone that's not a student or not currently a student with your school?
The CWA application process for community members is pretty standard. So we require letters of recommendation, transcripts, and additional information. So no, all the documents that we require to be enrolled in the CWA program are pretty standard, whether you're a community member or whether you are a current LMU student. Since we're on that topic, if you are going to enroll in these classes and obviously also take the culminating class, which is 5305, the fieldwork class, everybody has to submit a planning document. That means we need to know where your site is, who your supervisor is, and such. You also have to submit updated professional membership, and you also have to submit updated professional liability insurance. And that liability insurance and that membership needs to be for the entire duration of the semester. So all the required documentation, whether you are a community member or a current graduate student, is the same.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Guys, I'm loving these questions. Really good questions.
Is there a fee to apply?
Ms. Hugo, is there a fee to apply? I think so, right?
$50 application fee.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I thought. I didn't know the number, but I knew there was a fee.
When does the next semester start?
Next semester starts in fall. So
Okay.
that's the end of August. Okay.
Okay.
Something to keep in mind is that we typically start Labor Day weekend because we're Saturday class. I'm not mean, Kelly. I don't start class on Labor Day weekend. That's an asynchronous class. So we usually start the week after. But
Great.
wonderful question. Everybody always wonders that. And unfortunately, because we're a Saturday class, it kind of just gets mixed in there. But I wouldn't do that to students.
Okay, great, thank you. So
You're
if we're going to
welcome.
put in an application for the fall semester, when's the deadline for that?
It's coming up, right?
June 15th. So you got plenty of time.
Oh, okay, great.
But the sooner you get it in, the sooner you get an interview, the sooner you get a decision.
Got
So,
it. Thank
and
you.
you can submit your application before your letters of recs come in or your transcripts. So you don't
Okay.
have to wait to make sure they're all in. They can come in after.
Okay, great, thank you.
I put in the chat the application link for community members, being, those who are interested in attending LMU just to attain the credential. If you are a current student, you don't have to submit an application. You just have to talk to your student advisor, which is currently Dr. Mike or whoever takes over when he leaves that position. And that way you can get started on that application process. Looks a little bit different in that you won't need a letter of rec and all that if you are a current student, because you've already done that for the entire program. Regardless, if you're a community member or not, if you're a current student, you do have to fill out your fieldwork portion, which is identifying your site and your site supervisor, the liability insurance, and the professional membership, like Dr. Blanco mentioned earlier. So if you're a current student, talk to your advisor. If you're not, I have posted the link for you to apply directly. Any other questions? These are really wonderful.
Yeah, really great questions. Thank you guys so much for attending this session. I am so glad we were able to make it happen, even though I was in the wrong room for several minutes. If there's anything else that comes up and, for whatever reason you couldn't think of it during this time, I am available. I'm going to put my email in the chat so you can contact me. If I could spell my name right, there it is. And I'm happy to answer any questions or address any concerns you may have. Thank you so much. We also have the admissions information on there. We also have Dr. Francis's information on there as well. You guys have been great. I really appreciate you guys attending, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. I do believe that there is another session for financial aid, right? And then there's another session tomorrow. I had a slide for it, but I can try to share it right now, maybe before.
Yeah, so from 6 to 6:30 is financial aid. Yeah, 6:30 to 7 is career and professional development.
And
So-
those sessions actually are Tuesday and Wednesday as well. So if for some reason you have to go somewhere now, you can always do the financial aid session on Wednesday. It doesn't have to be tonight.
Okay. Fabulous. Thank you guys again. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And like I said, please contact me if you need anything else. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome. Bye.